People. Well, good morning, people. If you can't see up here in the orchestra pit, we have a combination of big people and little people, and you should have heard them practicing earlier. It was great. So welcome to Common Thread. We're glad you're here. There's a lot going on today. In a moment, we're going to have a catch-up ritual. We're going to catch up on the kids who were born, and then who started school, and then who reached middle school, and then who graduated during the pandemic and the move when we weren't doing our annual rituals. Then, after church, we're going to have an egg hunt. You'll want to hang out and watch that. It is a lot of fun. And after that, a pop-up picnic. And if you forgot to bring food, do not worry. You just come find me, because I have a box of nut bars. You will not be hungry. They are not great nut bars, but you will not be hungry. Again, very glad that you are here. Special welcome to newcomers. If you're here new, or if you're online new, we'd like to, in as low pressure a way as we know how to do, start getting to know each other. You could get to know us if you would go to that website right there, or click the funny box, and we'll send you an email, and you can read some stuff about us. After that, in the email, if you'd like to start getting to know us, there's an option you can click when you're ready, if you're ready, and get to know some folks in the community. So, commonthreadchurch.org/newcomer, or click the funny box. Also, here's our weekly reminder to let the community stand with us when we're having rough days. So if you are having some, please let somebody know today. And if you want, you can use the QR code, and if you want, you can go to the website and do it that way. Morgan will email you and connect you to somebody. I fear this is going to be a problem today. Anyway, let's say together as we do each week. Are you ready? If you are here, you belong. If you are here, you belong. Well done. We are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light. And we are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath. Now here's something, kids, that you will not understand and be able to feel until you get old like us. Maybe if you have kids of your own. Just how precious you are to us. So I hope that someday you come to understand that just about the most beautiful thing in the world to us is you. Watching you grow up, watching your minds get shaped, watching your bodies grow, watching your hearts grow, about the most important thing in the world to us. Each of you is a different kind of beautiful, a different way of being wonderful, different personality, different way of seeing things, different way of understanding things. So today we're going to do a special ceremony. And in this ceremony, we're going to say out loud the things that your family feels about you, the things that your community feels about you. But first, we're going to sing our ritual song. We sing this every time we welcome our new babies, which we do in the spring. We'll do in just a few weeks, as a matter of fact. We sing it every time we celebrate kids growing up, going off to school, getting close to adulthood, when they go to middle school, then when they start their adult years. Well, this year, Sue wrote some even better words for our song, and Joe and Jane worked really hard to play it well for us, and they're going to sing it for us, but there's also a place where they're going to invite us to come in, and so when they do, let us all sing out, and then after that, Haven, you'll come up, and then after that, Shelby will come up. Are you ready? That was after all of that buildup. And that's what we get. Okay, are you ready? Yes. All right, let's go.
All right, so this is a song that has been sung for many, many years, and I have it on good authority. To celebrate our commitment to our children. So if it's a song that's not familiar and you get the hang of it quickly and jump in, that is great. If you want to sing with us from the get-go, that is also great. You are invited to join in as much as possible. Here we go. One, two, three, four. They say You're the source of everything, the one who taught the wind to sing, the source of the rhythm my heart keeps beating. They say you can give the blind their sight, and you can bring the dead to life. You can be the hope my soul's been seeking. I want to tell you now that I can see it. I want to tell you now that I can see it. I do, that I can let you through. Oh, I'm an empty page, I'm an open book. Let's write a story on my heart, and I will do my part. Author of my hope, lover of my soul, right now is the time to start. Let's write a story on my heart, write a story, write a story. Come on, let's write a story, write a story, write a story on my heart. I'm an empty page, I'm an open book. Let's write a story on my heart, and I will do my part. Author of my hope, lover of my soul, right now is the time to start. Let's write a story on my heart, write a story, write a story. Come on, let's write a story, write a story, write a story on my heart. Yeah. Great. Let's make a quick little adjustment now. Sorry, here you go. All right.
I'm going to read a scripture that's a paraphrase from the book of Matthew. It comes from both Matthew 18 and Matthew 19. So Jesus said to the disciples as they were trying to shoo the kids away, "Whoa, whoa, let them stay. Don't try to stop them. Loving them, theirs is the way to be divine community."
Okay, my turn. All right, we are going to read some things. I'm going to read some stuff for you, and you are going to read the part that says community, I think. Is that up there? Yes. All right, so your part is the community part, and I will read some of it, and then Mariah will come up and help me read some as well. This is the part where we stand up. Well, hold on, I know. I'm going to say. So basically what we're about to do, kids, we adults are going to say some words to you to show our love and our commitment to you. It's called a pledge, which is like a promise that we make to be here for you. So I'm going to read, and then grown-ups, you're going to say that part. Let's all stand up, though. Everybody stand. Grown-ups, as you read your part, if you would like to extend a hand towards a child near you somewhere, as a symbol that we are making our pledge to them. So little ones, when you are little and you are new to this world, we will welcome you into this wonderful life. We will hold you in our hearts, comfort you, laugh, and smile with you. You are here. You belong. As you grow up, when you attend school and life just gets bigger, we will help prepare you for the world. We'll tell you the stories of our tradition and our own experiences. We'll help you understand virtue and goodness. We will teach you, we'll guide you, we'll have fun with you, and we'll help you build healthy friendships. You're here. You belong. Right, your turn. Just a green person.
When you start emerging into adulthood, your teen years, we will encourage you to add voice and begin to find your answers from within. We love you. We'll do everything we can to help you love well. Build strong, authentic, and spiritual relationships.
You are here. You belong.
When you're ready to start your adult life, we'll celebrate your new beginning. We'll shed a tear as you go away, but hope also that you'll come back one day. We'll be here when you need to check in. got or get some context or perspective, we'll hold you in our hearts as you go.
Even when you're not here. All right, thank you. You guys can have a seat. Please, because I want to show the band, and I will need help picking it up. Okay, so before we wrap up this part of it, I want to present two things, a community project and a gift for the kiddos in just a second. So can you grab that real quick? Okay, so we have this mesh board. After today, this is going to live in the stairwell between the kids and adult spaces. So it'll be right in between where we both are. We would like for, over time, not necessarily today, but you could start today, for everyone to add something to this board. It can be a poem, a favorite verse, a drawing, a small art piece. Essentially, it will be a giant collage that says, this is our story, this is who we are as a community. And just like stories and people change, the board can too. So over time, you're encouraged to add more, swap things out, add on to what other people have done. It'll just be a big community board for all of us. And so kids, you are invited to participate in this, so it will live right between our areas. And as a symbol of your belonging in the story and helping write a piece of it, we have some special pens for you. Y'all can put that down. And so I will bring those around and hand them to you. When we go downstairs a little bit later, we have a lot of other fun activities too. But we can start with our new special pens and writing and drawing some things for our new board. So that is that. For now, just hold on to them though when I bring them around. Got it? Okay. We love you very much.
One of our ancient texts tells us that every good thing comes from God. Now, we don't know exactly what God is. We don't know exactly how God works, but countless generations before us have found again and again and again and again that when we experience goodness, we experience God. And when we experience God, we experience goodness. And when we experience you, our children, you're about the deepest good we ever experienced. So experiencing you, we experience God. So, our children and our community, may we be to our children the fullness of life that each one of us carries. And may they emerge into the fullness of life that they carry, each of us a carrier of the inner light. And may our steps and the steps of our children move us closer and closer to love, and joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness. Amen. All right, kids under the age of 5, you may now go with your parents to your class. Kids who are from the age of 5 up to, from there on up, you stay. We're going to have 2 songs we're going to do together. Then in a moment, we're going to dismiss all of the kids except the ones in the musical pit, and we are going to, the xylophone players in the pit. Then after that song, then we'll dismiss you. But as it goes, under 5, off you go. Joe, come on up.
Yes, sir. All right. If you are holding an instrument, that's not me. I didn't do it. If you're holding an instrument of any kind, this first song is simply for singing. So you can go ahead and put down any jingle chaps or shakers or beaters. There's something I can... Sure. Oh, that's better. So this song has no instruments except our voices, and so we want to not have any accidental percussion on this next song. This is a song we've sung for quite a while. It's called Ubi Caritas. It means where God is, that's where love is. Where there is charity and love, God is there. All right. Ubi caritas, Deus ibi est. Ubi caritas, Deus ibi est. Where there is charity and love, God is there, God is there. Where there is charity and love, God is always there. We have gathered in this place, joining hearts in love and grace, giving thanks to God above. We go out to serve in love. Ubi caritas, Deus ibi est. Ubi caritas, Deus ibi est. God is always there. Beautiful. This next song we started last week, and you all just nailed it. So I think this week is going to be terrific as well. It is call and response, which means I'll sing something, and then you sing something back. So at the beginning, I'll sing Alleluia, and you'll echo back to me the exact same thing. And there's 3 different phrases, but the word is always Alleluia. Yes, there we go. Get myself organized up here. All right. So I'll sing, and we'll sing back and forth 3 times. And on the last time, the tempo picks up, and you'll still be singing those same 3 phrases, but instead of singing 1, 2, 3, you'll sing the first phrase once and again, and then 2 and 3, and it's notated on the screen, so you'll know exactly what to sing. I think that's good. As far as instruments goes, I know our xylophones and folks are good to go. If you're playing the cowbell, make sure you've got it wrapped in the towel. It's a very important feature of the cowbell. And you're just going to play the chord. The slow part you guys don't play on. When the tempo picks up, you're going to play just a straight beat. Can you guys do that with me? Tap, 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 tap. You have mastered the cowbell. That is fantastic. All right. If you're on a jingle tap, is anyone on a jingle? Oh, there we go. There's a jingle tap section. Good. You all, so these guys are playing on 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? They're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Jingle taps, your job goes like this. You play on 2 and 4. You get the even numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. 2. How good is that? 1, 3. Yes, perfect. All right. I hope I haven't left anyone out. If you got a shaker and you want to shake, you know what to do. Anywhere in the vicinity of the beat will be great. All right. Hope I'm not forgetting anything. Here we go. All right.
Songs we sing this morning, hallelujah. New life all around, transforming, hallelujah. God of sky and trees and stars, hallelujah. Bearing fruit within our heart, hallelujah.
One, two, three. We do have one more. You all do. The xylophone people for one more song. All right, the rest of us, let's go ahead and be seated. As the kids are going, the rest of us, let's be seated. As the kids are going, the rest of us, let's be seated. We've got an important song to learn. It's coming up next week. This is our Easter song. Get ready. Come on, Joe.
All right, so up until now, we're gonna do Jesus Remember Me. And up until now, we've been learning it the last few weeks, and you all have done a beautiful job learning your harmonies and putting them all together. And today we're going to try to go from sort of the stopping and starting and all of that to turning it into one seamless whole, one complete song. And so the most important thing to know in doing this is how to find your starting pitch. Right? Always good to find your starting pitch. So I'm going to show you real quick how to find your starting pitch when it's time to sing. You'll see the notes on the screen behind me sort of roll by like a video, okay? And we have the sopranos sing first, then we'll add the altos, and we'll add the tenors, and we'll add the basses. So, the sopranos sing by themselves. They're not going to have any trouble finding their starting pitch. Their note is the top of the harmony, so that'll be fine. When it's time for the altos to come in, they need to be able to find their note. And the beautiful thing about this arrangement is that the note that the sopranos end on is the note the altos start on. So the sopranos are going to give the altos their starting note. So if you think about at the end where it says, the sopranos end, when you come into your kingdom, and the altos start with, Jesus, remember me. So altos, if you listen to the soprano's last note, that's your starting note. Similarly, tenors, you're going to get your starting note from the altos, because the altos are going to sing, when you come into your kingdom, and then the tenors sing, Jesus, remember me. So listen for the last note of the altos, and tenors, that is your starting note. Basses, we haven't forgotten about you. You might expect the tenors to give the basses their note, but that is not the case. Basses, you will also get your starting pitch from the soprano last note. So when the sopranos sing, when you come into your kingdom, Jesus, remember me, when you come to your kingdom. So the basses will get their starting pitch from the last note of the sopranos. All right? That's how that can work. This is just going to roll by like a video, and you'll be able to see when your part sings. The sopranos will start. Let me back it up. First, we'll have one time that's just instrumental. It'll sort of set the tonality and kind of give us a sense of the pulse and all of that. You'll see number one show up on the screen, and that'll be the soprano part. They will sing on their own first. At number two, we add the alto part. At number three, we add the tenor part. Number four, we add the bass part. Everybody's in. At five, we're going to go from singing on the words to simply singing ooh. And so you sing the exact same notes, but instead of singing, Jesus, remember me, you're going to sing ooh. And just sing through your part on ooh, because we have an instrumental solo that's going to happen in that space. Then we all come back in at 6, we sing just like before. 7 will be another instrumental solo, but that won't happen until next week, but we'll still sing through it. A guest artist. And then number 8, we all sing one more time together to conclude the song. Okay? All right. So to kind of get us warmed up and ready for this, let's just sing through like we've done. We'll all sing soprano, we all sing alto, we all sing tenor, we all sing bass, just to kind of get acclimated to it. Then we'll get into our groups, and we'll be able to sing from there. Here we go. Here we go. All right, my metal friends. Here we go, I'll count you in.
is going to be interesting. Okay. Two, three, one, ready, play. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Alto part. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Tenors. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Basses. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Ooh. Maybe change it to whoa, whoa, whoa. No, just kidding. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into our groups as we have. If you want to sing the alto part, please come over here. If you want to sing the tenor part, take this area. Sopranos will be in this area and basses in this area. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. All right. So let's let's kind of make a little semicircle, maybe not a complete circle, but kind of bases. If we can kind of pull you guys more close together, you'll be able to reinforce each other. Just kind of pull on down this way. Even circle around. Yep. Perfect. Next week we'll dispense with the circles, but staying in a circle really helps reinforce your part. So we're going to do that. There we go. All right. So sing out nice and strong. All right, here we go. We've got our instrumentalists ready. We've got our singers ready. I'll meet you at the end. Here we go. It's going to be great. Here we go. 3, 1, ready, play. Sopranos, here we go. Jesus, remember me. altos keep singing. Everybody sings, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom now. Everyone. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Singers on ooh. Ooh. Everyone, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Beautiful, beautiful. Please return to your seats.
Well
Thank you
done.
for
Let's all
singing
go back
today.
to our seats here. Teenagers, you can now go in to join your class. Shelby has something she has in mind for you. I can't feel my feet, the xylophone players say. Here's what's coming up this week. We've got, what are you thinking on Zoom afterwards today? A kids' ritual, egg hunt, all the stuff you've heard about. Brew Crew is tonight. Artsy group meeting coming up Saturday. Centering prayer group next Sunday. Learning conflict resolution on the 16th. Tell you about that in a second. The stuff you've been hearing about today, as soon as we finish, there's going to be egg hunt. The kids are going to go looking for eggs. Then there's going to be a picnic right afterwards. Hang around, get to know some people. It'll be great. Talk, Sue.
Got 10 seconds.
I gave you 30.
This week, we're doing a lot of contemplative practices, morning, noon, and night. Can you hear me? I'll just pull it out. Morning, noon, and night, Monday through Thursday. Everything's going to be virtual. A few things are going to be here, but they're also going to be virtual on Friday and Sunday next week. Just note that next week we do centering prayer, the second Sunday of every month. Next week we're actually going to start at 8:30 with some other contemplative practices. You're welcome to come at the regular time if you want, but 8:30 is as early as we'll be here next Sunday. And if you have any questions, just click the funny box. You can join the group and you'll get all the notifications about everything this week. Thanks.
So starting on the 16th, we're going to start our conflict resolution module, and all you have to do is watch. Sue and Maria have agreed to have a fight in front of us. And I am going to be the moderator, so I'm going to make sure that we follow the process. And you are, week 1, going to learn how to be the message sender. Week 2, learn how to be the message receiver. And week 3, learn how to do informed negotiations. So if you want to come, it'll be after church. Just all you have to do is watch. That's coming up. It'll start on the 16th. If you would, point your phone at the housekeeping button and let's see what is going on this week that you could help with the community. You can see sound panels are in the making. Look at this. We had people working yesterday, and if you hear this chasing after the sound feedback thing, eventually we will get that done. Now, we didn't get all the way, so we got this, I didn't even help. The folks that were working didn't get all the way because it's a big job, but we've got lots of stuff to put inside those things, lots of stuff to put on the outside of those things. When we tell you the next work day, we don't know the date yet, we're trying to coordinate everybody's schedule. As soon as we find out, if you're interested, tick that box. Let's see. And then also you will find on the box, we're still looking for someone who is good at online shopping, good at researching where to find deals. We're looking for musical instruments, maybe used if possible. You'll also see you can tick the Vision Walk box to help the volunteers who were raising money for Vision. They've already raised like $63 million with this organization. A lot of things are going into trials already, so there's a lot of good things happening. And you get to be with some common thread folks and get to know each other. Finally, we are so glad that we are sharing space. It is wonderful to be in a place that wants us here, and this morning the folks came down. We're so glad that we were here, so grateful we were here. And sharing space means sharing space. So yesterday, because of the weather and because of a move date and because of planning ahead, the other church, having their egg hunt at a time that they hadn't planned for, collected our teenagers' eggs. And so Shelby was a little bit sad because she had worked really hard to make those eggs very special. And when they came down, they were so effusively apologetic. They didn't know. Their kids didn't know. They started opening up. They realized, these are for teenagers. And then, so they were so apologetic. And we said, this is not a problem because here's the thing. We are here in a shared space, and that is well worth the process of going out and get some more eggs. So the teenagers are going to do their egg hunt next Sunday. So, all right. Man, there was a lot going on today. So take a breath. So I want to start today with an apology because the titles I sent out in the email was Hindus and Heaven, and we're not going to get to that until the very end. And honestly, we're not even going to fully get to that even at the end. I had a hard time figuring out what to leave out in today's lesson because so many good thoughts and only 2,300 words. That's what you get on a Sunday. So here's what you're going to hear today about that title. You're going to hear the groundwork for not answering the question. The groundwork for why it's an unanswerable question. Okay, so I started this lesson looking to see if we could redeem that song that we've been singing, that feather-ruffling song, our Easter song. So, the song is based on a story. It's a story about Jesus near the end of his life. And wanting to learn this song as a first step to learning how to sing harmony together, expanding our capacity as a communal singing church, we also took up this song, this lesson, because the song lends itself to a much larger discussion than the song. The song we saw surfaces three problems. Not only problems with the song, but really problems with organized Christianity. I've been calling these the jangly parts of religion. I said I hoped that if we could redeem these three, we could also outline a path for redeeming some very significant problems faced by our tradition, very significant problems faced by organized Christianity. So if you missed the initial lesson, you can have a listen online. Today I want to talk more about that first one, church or churchy. Can we redeem church as a concept? Our starting point last week was why. Why would anybody want to redeem this institution that has grown so hurtful and for many even toxic? It's been the source of so much pain for so many. Why would we? Wouldn't it be easier to just scrap the whole thing, let it die under its own weight, and move on to whatever comes next? So I want to talk about that today. And in order to talk about that, I want to introduce you, or if you were here in 2014, I want to reintroduce you to this guy. His name is James Fowler, and he wrote a book called Stages of Faith. It would be a good thing for you to Google. You don't have to read the book. The book is thick, dense. It's kind of an academic book. It's filled with lots of research done over a lot of years. But you can Google the 6 stages very easily. So he did all this extensive research, and he developed a stage theory, how faith develops. Faith, the stages that we go through on our journey. So Fowler is to faith what Piaget is to cognitive development. 6 stages, how faith emerges in human beings. Now, this is not Christian human beings. This is not Buddhists or Jews or Hindus. It's how human beings in any faith tradition develop over time. And I hope you'll see that it's kind of an important framework for understanding, conceptualizing what it would be like if we were to redeem church, if we were to redeem organized religion. Some of us grew up in organized religion, will know exactly what Fowler is talking about. Some of us did not. And even if you did not, I think you'll recognize the patterns, and I think you'll see that the framework can provide for us a roadmap to tell us where we've been, to tell us what's coming up, and to tell us what we ought to be working on. So, let's do a quick skim of the early stages because they are pretty familiar territory, even if you didn't walk through them. Undifferentiated, the first one there, it's not really a stage. It's what infants pick up about reality that later informs everything, including spirituality. Is this world safe or dangerous? Infants will pick that up. Can I trust or no? Can I hope or no? These will shape faith as it emerges, but they'll shape a lot of other things as well. So this is a pre-stage to faith development. So the first stage then becomes childhood faith. Fowler's word for it is actually intuitive projective. It usually happens when a child is in preschool age. The child imitates the parent in matters of faith. The child believes uncritically. Religious concepts become fodder for the child's imagination, often without editing. The literal stage happens during the school age years. The child learns the stories, learns the beliefs and the morals and the rules, and they are in the child's mind absolutes because God has said, or mom has said, or dad has said, and because it has been said, it is right, it is true. The child accepts literally, uncritically. The conventional stage usually happens during adolescence. Now something becomes right and good and true because the group, not just mom and dad, but now the group has said it is right and good and true. At that stage, we begin to define ourselves in the group by the conventions of the group. I am in this group, and we are this way. We do these things. We believe and we act these ways. In this stage, I do because we do. In the conventional stage, we don't examine the belief system, we don't stand outside of it and look at it, we follow it pretty uncritically. So again, just if you know about human development, those stages are pretty easy to get our heads around, even if you didn't grow up in a religious system. Now you notice that I made the next stage orange and called it the chaos faith stage. The real name is individual reflective faith, but when I went through it, it felt like chaos, so I called it that. Usually happens in early adulthood. Sometimes, given how our tradition is framed, it can be delayed in its onset until later, but often it will happen in early adulthood. At this stage, we begin to do just that, what we didn't do in the conventional stage. We stand outside the tradition and we start looking at it. We feel the weight of decision, asking ourselves, am I this? Do I that? Are these my commitments? Are these my beliefs? Are these my practices? And we often ask during this stage, what about the hard stuff, the stuff we haven't been saying out loud? Is God really loving? Because come on, look around. Are you sure? Virgin, having a baby? What about chemistry, this water into wine thing? I just don't know. And a lick and a promise won't do anymore. The authority of mom and dad, the authority of the group just won't do anymore. It's an uncomfortable stage, but here's the thing. Uncomfortable though it is, it's a significant, developmental, important stage. We actually don't move forward on our faith journey if we don't challenge the faith that we inherited. But it's hard, this chaos stage. When we are in a tradition, but then reject this part of it or that part of it, by proxy, we are kind of rejecting our people. And that's emotionally very difficult. In a way, we are leaving behind those who have loved us, which feels lonely, and it feels isolated. It feels like a significant loss. So, lots of bad feelings go with stage 4. We feel alienation. We feel rejecting of the tradition or of the thoughts or of the ideas, but we also feel rejected by the tradition. Sometimes we feel anger. Often we feel disillusionment. Beliefs that were once a source of solid and secure comfort get all wobbly. They get unsolid. They start to feel insecure. Now, nobody likes Fowler's stage 4 because it's scary and ugly, it's very disorienting, and yet it is deeply embedded in every tradition. Think of the stories that you might have heard in our own tradition about the wilderness, or about exile, or about isolation, or about wandering, or why have you forsaken me? Those stories are there because stage 4 is part of the spiritual life, part of the spiritual journey. But it is uncomfortable. It is painful. It is frightening. And so consequently, because people don't like it, it's not uncommon for people to try and avoid it. And often try to avoid it by jumping back into stage 3, conventional faith, doubling down on things that I used to do when I did feel secure, when I did feel comfortable, when I did feel rock solid. What were the things that I did? And we go back and we do more of that. We do more reading, or we do more praying, or we do more devouting. Whatever it is that we were doing that made us feel secure, we do more of it. Or, rather than jump back, it's also not uncommon, to abandon the whole thing and to walk away and say, I guess this isn't for me anymore because I just can't believe it anymore. But both of those very common responses actually thwart the developmental process of faith. One of the grievances that I have with my own tradition this has been 6 weeks now. Golly. One of the grievances that I have with my own tradition is how little they prepared me for this part of the journey. How they didn't actually prepare me, they actually anti-prepared me. They told me not to go to stage 4. They could have at least told me it was coming, or even better, given me tools to go through it, or at least just normalized that it was okay. Preparation for which, by the way, you lucky people get in bushel baskets because your preacher man gives it to you all day long. As God is my witness, I swore I will never do that to people. This really uncomfortable stage is part of the spiritual life. And it's part of how we get to significant, deep transformation. It turns out all of that chaos and all of that discomfort is essential. The pain strips away the scaffolding that religion built for us. The very scaffolding that was essential in those earlier stages that helped us get to the place where we could start the deconstruction process, that scaffolding got us to this place that we could then have the strength to begin to tear that scaffolding down. But here's the beautiful part. On the other side of chaos faith, we no longer have a second-hand spirituality. We emerge into first-hand spirituality. Now, one more time, I've said it, a tradition is a tradition because it lasts. And it lasts, yes, because it has truth and beauty, all that stuff I've talked about. But it also lasts. A tradition is a tradition and lasts because it has embedded in it this roadmap. These essential components that move a human soul forward on a spiritual journey. If we don't bail, if we don't go back, ours becomes a spirituality of direct encounter with the interior light. Ours becomes a spirituality of every one of us carriers of the inner light. We become, our bodies do, our minds do, our souls, our beings become the presence of God on this good earth. Those are ethereal words. What do they even mean? They're the attempts of those who've gone before us to try and put into words an experience that doesn't really fit into words. Paul tried describing it this way. He said in 2 Corinthians, you, could have been speaking to us, are a letter. You're a letter that's been written from God to the world, but not words that are written with ink, and not words that have been carved into stone. These are words written on human hearts, your human heart, my human heart. Now, Fowler calls emerging into that part of faith conjunctive faith. And it happens, but it doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen a lot. After that, there is the universalized faith, the last one, and that is even less common. It happens very, very rarely. So for simplicity, just for this morning, let's talk about both of those things combined and call them the everything is connected stage of faith. Because it turns out that the chaos of stage 4 is like a cocoon for a butterfly. By struggling against it, unbeknownst to us, we are struggling against secondhand spirituality, secondhand faith, a faith that someone else, someone who loved us, gave to us. The struggle itself prepares us to eventually fly. The darkness of this dark stage compels us to seek out light, and we find it. The dryness of this dry stage compels us to seek out moisture, and we find it. Stage 4 is a death of sorts. It's a giving up. It's an abandoning, and it clears away that very scaffolding I mentioned that got us to the place so that we can get to the other side and reach the interior divine spirituality that was always in us. We just weren't prepared for. Also, go through this process and we come to see the light is in me, yes, but who knew? It's also in you. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and all of the yous that I previously thought of as them. The everything connected stage helps us begin to see and live in that word conjunctive, the conjoining of everything. Jesus said we are conjoined with, he used the phrase, one with God. Paul told us that we are conjoined with, one with each other. After the chaos of stage 4, after the emotionally demanding process of letting go of everything that we thought was true, everything that was secondhand, everything that was given to us, after we let it go, painful, remember, after we let go of church, after we let go of mosque, after we let go of synagogue, after we let go of temple, who knew we discover on the other side what in a moment I'm going to call the contemplative center. One with God, one with each other, one with every rock and every tree, every bridge and every bank. We come out of the slough of despond that is stage 4, and we are prepared to experience our connection with everything. We come to trust the light within, trust the interior voice. Yes, we consult with other people, and yes, we listen to other people, and yes, we engage with the community, and we read, and we listen to podcasts, but what changes is what we're listening for. We're not listening for the truth that the guru will now give us. We're not listening to the truth that the preacher, brilliant as the preacher might be, is giving us. We're not looking for the one and true truth from an external source. We're looking for what people say, scanning for that moment when the interior light awakens within us and says, yes, that's for you, that's for now. We're listening for that interior spark That's the part for me. We also, when we get past the chaos stage, start to see that my sectarian view, even my own religion, is not big enough to contain everything is connected. What gets included in religion is much bigger than what my religion had included. So, that's Fowler. Thank you, Fowler, for all this great research. He did it in the 70s, published in the 80s. It's been an incredible gift to people on the spiritual journey. We owe him. Now, here's why it matters. Here's why it informs why I think it's a very desirable thing to try our best to redeem church, to redeem organized religion. Because we need, in our world, more people getting to everything is connected faith. We need it to not be rare, to not be uncommon. We need it to be a normalized part of faith development, and we especially need to stop having our religion get us there in spite of the religion as opposed to because of the religion. Of all the institutions that are going on the planet right now, religion has the best track record of getting people to everything is connected faith. Organized Christianity, on the other side of this reformation that we are going through, it will have to be reformed to take human beings there. It will have to be reformed so that this stripping down and rebuilding process that happens to the human soul is supported and strengthened and encouraged, and we are led into everything is connected faith. To deconstruct and reconstruct until our religion captures the experience, that's our job in our generation. To build the systems and the practices that will take people step by step by step by step into everything is connected faith. And if you're paying attention, you see we are working our hardest as a community to build patterns that do just that. Now here's something that those who've gone before us write back and tell us. They tell us that after people go through this chaos faith stage, when they start to emerge into the everything is connected faith stage, they often have a head slap moment. Oh, that's what the tradition was trying to say. Oh, that's what those words meant. How did I miss that? We all carry developmental filters. We all are at a certain stage of development. And that stage, nothing good about that, nothing bad about that. It's just an is. And what happens is those filters screen out things that we might see were those filters not in place. The tradition might have been saying all along, everything is connected. By the way, the tradition has been saying all along, everything is connected. But until our brains are ready, until our community's collective brains are ready, we're not going to be able to hear. We'll just keep filtering out whatever doesn't fit into our expectations. But stay the course. Don't bail out. Don't revert back. And we start to realize, like kids when they hit their 20s start to realize, oh, I guess the parents weren't so stupid after all. The tradition has been trying to tell me that all along. Oh, I'm so sorry, tradition, for the ugly that I put you through. I just happen to say that because that's what my kids have come to me. I'm so sorry for what I put you through. Now I understand. On the other side of chaos, we come back to the stories, and we come back to the images, and we come back to the language, because now we can see them differently. We are now comfortable with paradox as a form of truth. We are now comfortable with uncertainty as a form of truth. We are now comfortable with myth and with metaphor. I have a vivid memory, but I'm a little suspicious of this vivid memory. Because in this memory, I am in my daughter's room and I am reading a book sitting at her little desk, which is looking out the window. I suspect that my memory has conflated when that room used to be my office and when it turned into her room, because there'd be no reason why I'd be sitting at her desk reading my book. But anyway, I'm suspicious of me sitting in my daughter's room, but in my head, I'm not suspicious of this. I know what I was doing. I was reading the letters of Paul. In particular, I was reading the book of Romans. Now, I went to school for this preacher thing. Yeah, I did. So I've read Paul. I've read a lot of Paul. And I'm sitting there in this memory reading this stuff, but this time I am flabbergasted. And I am thinking to myself, what? I thought Paul was a doctrine guy. Book of Romans, for goodness sakes. I thought that was all about what we do, when we do it, how we do it, what's supposed to. I thought he was giving us the definitive word of God. That's what I grew up believing. Now I'm reading Paul and I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy's a mystic. This guy just sounds just like Teresa of Avila. He sounds just, oh my God, how did I miss this? Now, Paul didn't change, and the texts didn't change. I changed. That's the kind of thing that happens on the spiritual journey on the other side of the chaos stage of faith. The ancient words and the ancient images and the ancient stories, the ones we had to kick against in order to break down the scaffolding, those become beautiful once again. And the reason is because we change. How did I miss that? It was always there. So, a good reason to redeem the institution of religion, to redeem the institution of church. It has scaffolding that we need when we are young. We don't fully understand what's going on, and so here is a structure that we need. We don't realize what it's trying to tell us, but it's telling us something that we need. Another reason is, as that needs to be broken down, religion is also elastic enough to expand as we expand, and to keep giving us what we need as our needs change. In fact, religion can act as the engine that drives the next step of growth and the next step of growth and the next step, and to point us and to keep pointing us to the next and the next and the next. Another reason to redeem religion church, you've heard me, a tradition is a tradition because it lasts, but not every religious impulse lasts. Not every religious concept lasts. There are five major religious traditions. There are 3 Abrahamic religions. There is Judaism, there is Christianity, there is Islam. There are 2 Vedic traditions. There is Buddhism, there is Hinduism. And the top one, the F, that is folk religions. It's kind of a catch-all category for a whole bunch of religions. Now these have lasted. And to last, what do you need? Truth and beauty. We've talked about that. To last, what do you need? We've talked about that. You need Fowler's roadmap. And these have lasted. They're still here. These have the institutional scaffolding to support us in the early stages of the journey, to take us to the orange dot, to the chaos stage of the journey, to deconstruct and strip down, and to help us emerge into the other side, the contemplative center. Like our own tradition, in many ways, these religious institutions, they have also lost their way. I talk to their leaders from time to time. They are having to find their way again, just like we are having to find our way. But at the core, they are, like us, they have an experience of support for the early stages of faith. They have, like we do, a chaos stage where we strip it all away. They have, like we have, a moving into the contemplative center stage where they merge into everything is connected spirituality. Here's something I noticed a long time ago. I think it was probably in my 40s when I noticed that I was reading at the same time some Christian mystics and I was reading some Buddhist monks, and I was listening to them how they were talking about spirituality. And what struck me as I was reading is that they both were using the same words and were using on the same images, and they were trying to describe a reality that we know doesn't really fit into words, but they were hitting on the same kind of metaphors to try and describe that reality. Because it turns out a Buddhist and a Christian who arrive in the contemplative center, having gone through this process that is so difficult, they have a lot more in common with each other than either one of them has in common with the pre-chaos folks in their own tradition. As we move to the contemplative center, we start to realize that we share more in common than we have differences. But that creates a problem. And here's the problem. Here's why redeeming church, redeeming religion is so important. It's why it's the mission that's set before our generation. In the West, because we are going through this time of seismic worldview change, all of our social institutions that were built for a worldview that is rapidly disappearing, all those social institutions, they're all malfunctioning. Government is malfunctioning. Education is, family is, business is, and religion is malfunctioning. It's a bigger picture. It's important to understand where we fit in that picture, but we're a spiritual community, so our concern is when religious institutions are malfunctioning. In our context, informing our mission, as the Christian tradition is malfunctioning, Christian people are beginning to feel threatened by what we're losing. And unfortunately, under that threat, we've kind of fixated on defending stage 3. Defending the conventions. We actually discourage our people from moving forward and undertaking stage 4. So malfunction. And in times of malfunction, there's brittleness, and there's anger, and there's fearfulness, malfunctioning religious institutions. And so the world looks around and knows that, looks at us and says, yeah, those people, they are malfunctioning. Consequently, people are not opting in to a religious tradition. They're not opting into Christianity or Islam or any of the traditions that we've listed. More and more people are simply just staying out on the periphery because who wants malfunctioning institution? More and more people don't choose a path. Instead, more and more people are smorgasbording their faith. Google Docs did not approve of that word. It said I had misspelled it. More and more people are cherry-picking their favorite stuff. Ooh, I like a little karma. Karma is cool. Ooh, I like a little bit of social justice. Social justice is cool. Ooh, community. I really like that whole community part that religion's got going. The rest of that stuff? No, I don't want any of that stuff. And not surprisingly, most folks don't want Fowler's stage 4. Most people don't want all of that discomfort, all that discouragement, all that anxiety. Consequently, more and more people live outside of any tradition, do not choose Fowler's stages of faith. Not just don't choose 4, they don't choose the process. More and more people do not experience the scaffolding that is important when they're in their childhood. More and people do not experience the chaos and the struggle as they begin to grow. More and more people do not throw off secondhand faith and emerge into firsthand faith. Fewer and fewer people reach the contemplative center because chaos, who wants it? We choose to go to the moon not because it is easy, but because it is hard. That's kind of what Fowler is saying. His research says to us it is hard to stay in a tradition. It is hard to struggle against the cocoon. It is hard to fly. It's hard to shift from secondhand to firsthand spirituality. Now, it's doubly hard for our generation. Because we're not just doing Fowler hard, we are, but we're also doing deconstructing, reconstructing every 500 years hard. And church is much, much more than the hollowed out shell that we see now. Church is roadmap. Church is scaffolding. Church is guardrails. Church is whispers of truth when we can't hear truth. Church is support in the times of chaos. It's support for others, and it's support that we would give to others. And our world desperately needs that process to be restored. There's no way we're ever going to get out of this shallow way that we have been living, where we are so gullible to the marketing machine, to the political outrage machine, to all the shit that's going on in our world that isn't going to stop until the people are transformed from within, until we are transformed from within. So we need this social institution, organized religion. We need church to be healthy. We need it to be what it is designed to be, because we need to go where this process is designed to take us. I have lived my whole life inside this process. The conventional stage for me was very, very good for me, just like school was also very, very good for me, because both provided for me a window into a world that was much healthier than my very unhealthy family system. And maybe because it was so good for me during the conventional stage, the chaos stage was particularly difficult for me. It was accompanied with deep loss and anxiety, years of depression and pain. And spending my whole life going through this process, I have loved the tradition and I have hated it. I have shaken my fist at this tradition and I have been transformed in it. What I said last week is true. I know more about the malfunctioning of this malfunctioning institution than I bet any one of us do. And yet still I am standing here contending for the health and the recovery of the redemption of this institution, because our society needs us to be healthy. Doesn't need any more of what we've been doing. Had plenty of it. But we need to be transformed into our healthy state. I was in my 20s. I knew earlier that I was going to be a minister, but I resented the idea and resisted the process that would have taken me there because, institutional malfunction. Who wants to be part of that? But on a day, I had a semi-mystical experience. And I say semi because stripped down, what it really was just thought thinking. But it was also different from thought thinking. Different enough that I needed to explain it to myself after the fact, so I imagined the experience this way, a meaning-making story, I told myself. I had a conversation with God. Now, again, it wasn't that, but it was different enough from normal thought thinking that it wasn't not that. If it had been a conversation, it would have gone something like this. God, so you want to ignore this impulse that you feel inside of you to become a minister, huh? Me. Oh, yeah. I mean, have you seen church? It is ugly out there. God. Yep, I get that. And here's the thing. You could do something else and it would be okay. But I'd like to ask you a favor. Now, again, it wasn't like that. But it was gentle. And I did know I had options. And I did know I didn't have to do this. God, well, here's what I'd like. I'd like you to stay. I'd like you to stay and repair what's broken. Would you do that? And I said yes on that day. It was a crossroad moment, and I said yes to this, to what we are becoming. I didn't understand everything that was going to be involved. I didn't understand that it wasn't always going to be the sick and toxic way that it was. I didn't understand this moment in history. I didn't understand what it means to have our own reformation. I couldn't see all the rethinking and all the reimagining, all the stripping down and all the rebuilding. I do now, and I would do it again, but I didn't see that then. Now I understand what we've been doing. I understand what we've been stumbling our way forward into. We've been doing that. We've been doing the restoration of this process for human beings. Church exists to support you and to support me on our developmental journeys. I am not unaware the church has often acted as an impediment to those very spiritual journeys. I get that. But that's why religion, that's why church needs to be redeemed. I also understand now what I didn't understand then. Here's what we've been doing. This. History is requiring of our moment the work of deconstructing and reconstructing our version of organized religion? Church. The others, they've got their own reformations to have. That's going to be on them. We have to think about the work before us, rebuilding the scaffolding and the support for our young people, repaving the pathway so that they can find their way through each one of those stages of faith, so that our children and our grandchildren will have a path to follow, that if they will follow it, will help them emerge into the contemplative center, will help them attain to everything is connected faith. If we do our work, conjunctive faith, everything is connected faith won't be rare in their lifetimes. It won't be reserved for a rarefied few saints and sages. If we do our work, emerging into the contemplative center, the everything is connected spirituality will become a normal part of faith. It's in the process. It's there for us to have. For goodness sakes, the developmental process already exists. Why is it so rare that only a few should get to go there? We can build a church that will take our children there. We can build a religious system and norms and practices that will take us there. We can normalize the process by which human beings emerge into the highest human purpose, the contemplative center, where we live in and where we live from the divine center. Not just us, our kids and their kids. Ours is the work of the Reformation, the work of rebuilding the systems and structures that support us on the human quest to be our highest, most evolved selves. Spiritual development. Next week is Easter. Sorry. Next week I'll talk about that third one, that third jangly part, the afterlife part. Because it turns out, if we're going to redeem our religion, we're going to have to start by redeeming our afterlife narrative. It's an essential part of coming to understand what is healthy religion. That's when you're going to hear about cancer patients and psilocybin trials. But we can't really talk about that until we first see the whole point of the spiritual journey, the point of religious community. The point of Fowler's stage process is to help one another arrive at the contemplative center. We can't redeem our afterlife story, nor the very concept of church, if we stay in the literal stage of faith or the conventional stage of faith. We have to emerge into the everything is connected stage of faith. If you don't know this word, maybe this week it would be a good homework assignment to read up on it. Read up on the term or the word non-dualism. I think we can redeem the afterlife, and I think we can find deep truth and beauty. I think we can redeem church. I think we can restore the process that will help us help our children reach the contemplative center. So, indwelling divine, may we be redeemers of what has been lost. May we emerge into what is before us. Amen. Well, if you would, please prepare your offerings. We all give online now, remembering what I say all the time. There is good return when we invest in community. When we invest in community, we give our time and our energy, we give our love, we give our dollars. The community takes those resources, amplifies them, and give them back to us in the form of an environment in which we thrive. So again, online, everybody gives there now. So in a moment, I'm just going to open the floor. We're going to talk. I'm going to ask you what you're thinking. Before we do that, so that I don't forget, when this is over, here's what we've got to remember. Get your kids. Then get your kids and take them outside. Then after you get them outside, make sure they don't pick up the eggs yet. There are bubbles for them to play with to keep them entertained until it's time. And when Shelby says pick up the eggs, then they pick up the eggs. After that, have food and have fun. And again, if you forgot food, I got a box of nut bars. All right? All right, what are you thinking about? What is stirring up in your heart? Oh, we got to dismiss the other people. God bless you all. You're dismissed.
I had this thought. I guess, sort of falling into my cynical sort of devil's advocate part of my brain and saying, like, well, here's the preacher man talking about redeeming church, you know, and I'm looking for, you know, like, equilibrium in my head and figure out, like, you know, where I fall on that. And I think that Fowler's path is really interesting and I think useful because I think it's probably, you know, to give a bad analogy further, I think this experience might be sort of like analogous to like the ship of Theseus, I think is what it's called, right? The idea of like the ship is on this journey, right? And then like as it's there, they do it year after year after year, and they repair it over and over and over again, and then the ship keeps on going there. Is it the original ship? Like, is it the ship that is still getting there to that other journey? And I just sort of started thinking about how it might be harder to get to universalized space if you have to swim there. And that was a thought that kind of came through over and over again, where it's not the institution necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm crashing against the way of the idea of there's these books, there's these buildings, there's these institutions that maybe I'd be better off doing the a la carte thing like you described, right?
Yeah.
Like I could find Buddhism and I could find the sages and thankfully all of that, but all of that